how does one gain the title of the father of African filmmaking? It feels too grand, too general, too all-encompassing to be fitting for anyone to be worthy of it. And yet, the work that Senegalese filmmaker Ousmane Sembène produced seems to capture the spirit of the continent, communicating a certain humanness that other portrayals lacked. When asked about his want to create, he's quoted as saying, "I do it because I want to talk to my people." He led with telling the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might have been. His lack of fear and passion to tell stories that portrayed Africans truthfully is what led to such an impressive and historic career. That fervor for truth-telling resulted in Sembène being the first ever filmmaker to use an African language as its primary language, with the film Ndabi, or the Money Order, being presented in the language of Wolof. It led to him being the first African juror at the Cannes Film Festival in 1967. And it led to his first feature film becoming a staple in the iconography of filmmaking. La Noire de, or Black Girl, continues to hold a worldwide relevance to the medium, as not only does its story make a powerful statement about the devastating effects that invasion has had on African people, but it speaks to Sembène's eagerness to look at his audience in the eye boldly as he speaks freely in his work, without regard for retribution. And his boldness did not come without cost. Sembène could be characterized as unpleasant and short with those around him. He constantly found himself at odds with then Senegalese President Senghor for his willingness to criticize the government, even having his film Ceddo, or The Outsiders, banned from being released in Senegal for blatantly criticizing the government for imposing the Nation of Islam on its citizens. African-American activist Carrie Moore Daly, his wife, collaborator, and muse, is quoted as saying, "Creation becomes his first wife, in the way that, even when he's at home, he's not with me." The two separated, and Sembène never remarried, claiming to be unaware of her thoughts on his creative process. Despite bumps in the road, Sembène remained steadfast in his goal of presenting Africa to Africans in a way that centered them, without regard for European standards. He published the first Wolof newspaper, Kaddu, stating that he regrets that real efforts are not being made to develop African languages. His penchant for literature is evident throughout his career. Many of his films are adaptations of his writings, and his turn to filmmaking acts as more of a compromise after it became clear to Sembène that illiteracy rates would make it hard to reach his intended audience. Sembène knew who he wanted to reach and who he wanted to reflect. Every decision he made throughout his career seemed to be in service of the African people. He wanted his films to be a mirror to the society that he had grown up in, even when it would be hard to look at. He always held his ground, never flinching at repercussions and always seeing the world around him for what it was: beautiful, storied, and flawed. His last film, Moulade, or Magical Protection, criticized the practice of female circumcision in an unflinching documentation of the practice, highlighting the strength of the women who fought against it. He died in Dakar, Senegal in 2007 at the age of 84, 3 years after the film's release. His last work exemplifies his thesis of creation. It was unflinching in its criticism of the practice and unmoving in its reflection of the people, something that can be seen throughout all his work. And while the title of the father of African filmmaking may feel too general and grand at first glance, when you take a closer look, you have to ask, is there anyone better for it?
Sont bien compris en Europe.
Non mais mettons-nous bien ça dans la tête. Moi, l'Europe n'est pas mon centre. L'Europe est une périphérie de l'Afrique. Vous voyez, ils sont restés plus de 100 ans chez moi, ils n'ont pas parlé ma langue, je parle leur langue. L'avenir, pour moi, l'avenir ne dépend pas d'être compris par l'Europe. Je souhaiterais qu'ils me comprennent, mais ça ne me fait absolument rien. Si vous prenez la carte de l'Afrique, géographiquement, vous pouvez mettre l'Europe et l'Amérique, il nous resterait encore de la place. Pourquoi voulez-vous que ce tropisme, vous savez, le tropisme, pourquoi voulez-vous que je sois comme le tournesol qui tourne autour du soleil? Je suis moi-même le soleil.